Hello and welcome. This is Alchemistexe, and today we're going to be looking at both Sol and Eins today. Sol is an older unit, but he just got a Job Plus and a new Memento, and then combining that with Gate 6, he almost feels like a brand new unit in terms of how far it jumped him up on the tier list. And of course, Eins actually is a new unit, and he is quite strong as well. So, for any of you that might have pulled these two over the course of the last week and you're wondering if they are worth using shards on, the answer, for me at least, is a resounding yes. Definitely, especially if you happen to get their mementos. But even if you didn't, they can still be really, really, really good for you. Especially if you're new, they can carry you through a ton of early content to get you, caught up to where you need to be. Luckily, this was an event. This particular Veda event is something I'd been waiting for and saving my gems for a long time. So I went pretty full on, just got the mementos, got the units. I already luckily had Sol, so I can actually show you. I can show you 100% built Sol. I can't show you 100% built Eins. I do have his memento and his VCR as of today, but I still am missing some gates. I got 2 earlier in the week, and then I got 5 just today, thanks to the PvP shop. But, the rest of the gates are still a little bit lacking. I can get another 20 shards from the free level, and then I haven't spent most of my coins from the Veda thing, so I'm going to see... I'm going to pull for Nero tomorrow, so I'm going to divide them between Nero and Eins once that is settled, but... Even at an incomplete enlightenment, Eins is already just doing quite well. So I think he's well worth it. And if you're wondering if you should transmute him, I would say, if you have 150 shards, I'd say go for it, because you still have 1 week to collect the 100 shards you can get from the Eins shard quest. And so at that point, you're only at a net loss of 50 shards. And then coupled with the fact that you can get them in the various coin shops, and then I guess it probably won't be in the bazaar anymore starting afterwards, but he'll get his EX hard quest eventually, so you would get caught up. And I think that the 50 shard deficit is worth it. So yeah, I wanted to showcase this Catanova boss fight. I also brought along some other units to expedite the process, but with not that much setup, Eins was able to hit 100,000 damage, and that's pretty nice. It was res down, but it, just a single charge up, and then bam. Some of it's modifiers of element and strong versus human, but he is he is definitely... I was expecting something really good, and I think he's even exceeded my expectations a little bit. So I'm pretty happy. The only missing piece of the puzzle is Nero, but that should be taken care of tomorrow, because I'm going to do a big summoning for her, because I want to get the 7 days worth of the Soul Shard quest. So that's going to be a thing tomorrow. I think I'm going to probably put that in a separate video than the weekly update, just because I don't know how long that's going to be. If I have to go how many steps? 6 steps worth, or maybe only 5. Yeah, I think only 5, just to get 150 if I absolutely have to, and burn 62,000 gems. That could be a really long video, and chances are I'd probably have to abridge it in some capacity. So hopefully it doesn't come to that. But anyway, so the intro's out of the way. So now let's start with Sol and see what he is all about. Okay, and here we are at the unit screen. So as you can see from his stats, Sol is a monster. Some of that is going to be power creep inflation, because whenever there's a new level, when Enlightenment was first introduced at 91, and then Gates 4 and 5 after that, whoever the first units are to get that are always going to be a little bit ahead of the curve, and then it'll flatten a little bit at once everybody gets them. But even taking that into account, he is pretty strong. So as you may have guessed from his very high P attack and M attack, he's a mixed scaling type of unit. And one thing I really like about him is that while in general he's a mage, and the meat of his damage comes from magic type, He does have missile type damage as well, like his normal attack, and some of his other skills are missile as well, and that can be useful in maps where damage type matters. So as far as his ability setup goes, I think it's pretty straightforward. It's just like all things from his unique job, except for his gate 2 is on Divine Shelter, and what that does is it adds a stacking damage buff to missile and magic mod. I think it adds plus 10 each time he kills an enemy, so it's sort of Magic Meister-esque except minus the agility. And that's nice because then he also gets the tankiness that comes with Divine Shelter. I like this setup quite a bit. His reactive is a health draining. Now they have to be 3 squares or more like away from him. If they're too close, it won't trigger. But he'll drain half of the damage approximately, and then he can also has a chance to inflict death sentence. And then as far as his moves go, Dimensional Starburst is a teleport that raises his own agility. You might be familiar with a few different characters have that. Dry has that as well. It's nice for distance closing and then getting your next turn faster. Big Bang Origin is just a missile attack that has a pretty decent range. It's also got, it can be useful from if you're like high up or trying to hit an enemy that's high up. It's weird. It says height range 2, but I feel like I've seen it do higher than that. I don't know what that's about. And then Selfless Gamma Burst is his Gate 5 attack, in that normally it's a 3-time stacking move that does damage and raises his M attack. And what Gate 5 does is it increases the range, increases the M attack boost, and then increases the damage as well. So it's just across the board. Awesome. And then Transcendent Atmosphere is his big AoE that lowers agility. And the nice thing about it is, so his job plus, it used to be called X Atmosphere, and I think it only hit twice. So now it hits 3 times, and then it also doesn't hit allies. So that's, and then there's also a brand new move on his sub that is amazing. It makes a really, really big difference for him. I don't think his other sub skills look like they're the same as what they were on his old job. As far as he can place a grid that gives a character MP regen, which is always handy. And then he can teleport with unlimited height range. It's only fixed squares. As far as it's like a diamond of 7, and you have to pick one of those squares. And then it'll raise his CT and the CT of anyone he lands next to that's an ally by 15. So it can be nice. I've seen it help a unit like get their turn before an enemy and then kill the enemy. He's a little, he's got like tiny sprinkles of support. And then he's got a healing move, which given his M attack is a pretty potent heal, which we're going to get to gears in a moment. But the fact that he has a heal is extra handy now that he's got too many gears he needs to equip. And then finally, Related Sungrazer, as weirdly named as it is in my opinion, in some ways his best move, because it is an AoE around him and it will permanently raise his attack values. Like it's just a damage modifier increase, and it's stackable 3 times, making Sol great for long battles because you could just keep popping your damage up 3 times, and then that'll stack with the M attack buff that you get from the Selfless Gamma Burst. So his job plus, I mean, he was already good, but his job plus makes him just extra great. So as far as gears go, if you have both of his mementos, then it's pretty much set for you. It's the gear that you get from Sacred Stone Memories, and then VCR number 1, VCR number 2, and then if you have his Gate 6, memento number 1, memento number 2. Now, granted, those are both limited, and he's limited with an EX hard quest, so, it's not always going to be realistic as far as getting all that unless you plan for it. Like, I really planned for this, and that's why, I'm in this spot, because he's the unit I chose to just really focus on. and the other Templars as well, because I really like to play an entire team of Templars for most content that I do, unless for whatever reason it's not viable. So yeah, let's actually, do we even really need to? I guess I kind of explained his enlightenment already when I was talking about his moves, but 1 is stats he wants, 2 is the snowball, 3 is leader skill. I think it's all right. You could definitely skip it if shards are an issue. But it just turns the missile attack by 20 into all attack by 20, and other than that, it's kind of the same. It's all right, but if you have like Zheng Yi, then that one is better. And then I use his memento leader skill from his first memento most of the time anyway, so definitely skip that unless you got tons of shards. 4 is more stats that he wants, and then good for killing pride and greed. 5 is definitely great. I'd prioritize that. Probably before anything else. And then greed, of course, is great too, because as you can see, he's got like 9,000 health, and we haven't even gotten to a leader skill yet, so that's always fun. And then the way that they designed his mementos was they basically designed his second memento to go in the sub slot. Like, if we take a look at it, it gets pretty decently high stats, and those are all going to be cut in half. But then it doesn't affect vision abilities. So he gets to do this multiply M attack power by 3.5 for 1 turn, and it doesn't matter that the rest of the stats in the memento are reduced, because that's just a vision ability. So yeah, that's pretty nuts. So what his mementos give him are, he gets a insta-cast single target move from his first one called Pluto Hazard, and that one is really good. It also knocks units back. And then the VCR from the second memento gives him that Karma Chameleon move that I posted about on Reddit, where he gets, much like Eins, he gets to be on horseback for 3 turns, and it changes his movesets. We'll take a look at that when we do the showcase, because I don't have a good way of viewing them from here. So if you're able to cobble all of these ridiculously scarce resources together, you can have an absolute beast of a unit who can kind of shrug off damage and just send enemies flying with Pluto Hazard and keep stacking up his damage until just everything is dead. So yeah, he's definitely my favorite unit, and if you were wondering whether to raise him, do it. Even incomplete, he can help out a dark team for sure. All right, so let's switch gears and take a look at Eins' unit screen, and then after that we'll go take both of them into a battle to showcase some of what they can do. All right, and here we are at Eins' unit screen. So Eins is a physical slash unit. So unlike Sol, he has like one thing that he does, but he does it very well because, as you can see, he has a move of 8. Now, to kind of counterbalance this, he normally has a move of 1. So if you have the Optima Scarf, I recommend that almost more for the jump +1 than the HP regen, although, you know, HP regen is usually good too. And he's, at least from what I've gotten so far enlightenment-wise, he's like not the tankiest unit, so that also helps. And as far as abilities go, he does have Berserker as one of his jobs, which makes the Berserker reactive an option, and in most content I've been running that, because he already had pretty good jewel economy, but the Berserker reactive just makes it even better. So for most of the time, he almost never has to worry about having enough MP, and then in those few instances where he doesn't, he does his normal attack and he has pretty good jewel gain. But his unique reactive is a very, very potent guard type move, but it only works on missile or magic. So if you're running a level where that's the only damage type or the predominant damage type, then it might be worth running over his Berserker reactive. But otherwise, I would just go unique. First to be crossing just is HP and jewels and stop res. He seems to kind of have stop res on, like, as kind of his thing, kind of like Melodius did, because he's got it in his leader skill, and then he's got it in that passive. And then because he also has Dark Cavalier, and he's one of those characters where you can almost always assume that Gate 2 is going to be Overdrive. At least if they're a good unit, it will be. So he gets extra P attack on top of a slash mod bonus. So his Gate 5, his Gate 2 is really, really good. His Gate 5 is also really good. We'll go over that in a moment. So yeah, that's his ability setup. So I have his Memento, his weapon that you get from the box event, his VCR, which I just got today. Thank you, Vision Clear Pro, by the way. And then I popped the scarf on them to get them an extra jump. Because having a jump of 1 is kind of a bummer. If you've ever played Magic Swordsman, you know what I'm talking about. So that, just a jump of 2 just helps him quite a bit. If you don't have the Optima Scarf, I don't think there's anything else he can equip. The desert units can get a jump plus 1. I don't know if he can equip... Can he equip this Vi VCR? I don't know if he's able to equip that or not. That is something I really should have checked on earlier. I'm not seeing it on here. Oh well. We won't worry about that for now. Let's take a look at his Enlightenment. So as you can see, it's not as capped out as my Soul was, because, I couldn't prepare for it in the same way, and Soul's had an EX hard quest for a long time. He should get one eventually. I mean, we don't get them as fast as Japan does, which sucks, but we will get it eventually. I'm sure Ikasa is probably next on the chopping block for that, and then he'll follow after. But I definitely prioritize 2 and 5, because I wanted that slash mod that comes with Gate 2, and then it's also extra 10% P attack for the Overdrive, so you get more mileage out of that. And then his Deadly Water Leyline move on Gate 5 adds water res down, so that's like high priority. That was a factor in why he was able to do so much damage in the intro segment when he hit like 100k to the Cadanova boss. And then after you've got that taken care of, I would maybe try to get a few bumps in greed just for the HP bonus. Even if you can't cap it out, because we only have so many bubbles, the extra HP will go a long ways for him. Because I'm finding his damage to be satisfactory. The thing that I'm wanting more of is HP. Alright, so that is the general gist of his kit. So let's take both units into the training hall, and we'll take a look at Soul's mounted form, and we'll take a look at some of the other moves. Okay, so for the leader skill, I'm going with Soul's Memento leader skill, because it's not amazing in any one way. It's just sort of a catch-all, like HP, a little bit of P attack, a little bit of M attack, so it just works for the entire group of Templars. I feel like their stats are high enough that that's something that I don't need to min-max. There's definitely other occasions where, like, if I was just running Soul, usually Zhang Yi's leader skill. Ren's leader skill is pretty good for water units if you need the HP, less all attack. If you want more attack than HP, then Yaris has a really good enlightened leader skill. I forgot to mention this in the Eins portion, but unless you're just drowning in his shards, I wouldn't recommend getting his enlightened leader skill, just because I imagine there's cheaper ways to get a similar net total of HP and attack. But alright, so first of all, I'm going to attack this guy to make the text go away. But I'll do it with his building snowball. So we're going to use this for 3 times. Because under ideal circumstances, you'd want to use those. And then the rest of the battle, he's just that much stronger. And then look at Eins' move. He can almost traverse the entire map. That move of 8. Let's see. We'll just build up some jewels for him too. And then get that snowball going. So one thing I also wanted to mention about the Deadly Water Leyline is that when you get Gate 5, it adds an extra 3 squares to the attack range. So it just makes it even more useful. So yeah, let's pop some water res down on this guy. And then let's see how much that does next time. Alright, is that the last of the Sun Grazers? Yes. Alright. So before we check out Soul's mount, let's try getting his 3 stacks of Selfless Gamma Burst. It's already doing pretty decent damage. But then we'll do that. Then we'll use his charge up and then see what either that or Transcended Atmosphere or Pluto Hazard does post charge up. And remember, his charge up is an M attack modifier charge up, not an M attack. So that 3.5 is going to be big. That is definitely nothing to slouch at. Alright. Does it? Okay. The damage didn't increase, but I'm wondering if it did it before the attack went in. So, okay. I actually didn't go over his moves, right? So, he can raise his defense and nullify debuffs. That's fairly rare, so that's always nice. It only works on him, but still, if you get a big debuff, that sucks. So he can get rid of that, and not a lot of characters can do that. We went over the Gate 5 already. This move will get HP back, and it can also absorb jewels. So that one is not too bad. You know, let's see what portion of that gets restored back. Okay, a little less than half. That's still not bad though. And if you really wanted to beef that up, you could use his charge up. Oh yeah, he has a 3x P attack charge up on his unique sub. That's always good to have. Those Templars, man, they just have wonderful kits. Alright, so we got one stack of that. Let's do the next. So now it's gone up to 18k. Kind of juggling two different things here. And then, like, the big nuke for Eins is the one that did about 100,000 damage to the Catanova boss is the Killer Last Node. Because 1, it ignores defense, and then 2, it can crit, and then 3, it disables reactions to the attack, and then it also reduces agility, and then it's got a big modifier versus human. So with no charge up, we're looking at 14k damage. Not too bad. That is definitely enough to fell any weak enemy and enough to chunk any strong enemy. But we're not totally done yet. Oh yeah, I forgot he can reduce CT too. He does have some kind of like limited AoEs in how he functions. Like if we looked at his weapon art, it's the fixed AoE variant. But he's also really mobile, so he can help make up for that. So yeah, let's get that charge up going on him. And then we'll see what Killer Last Node does. And then another Gamma Burst. Alright, one more of these. Oh, we broke 20k. We have not factored in any charge ups yet. Now this one is a range of 1, so but he's good at closing the distance. So there we go. We got it up to 35k. And if you were to partner him up with someone like, say, Emrys, who can lower water res in multiple ways, or if you're fighting a fire enemy, somebody like either Tethys or Julia who have the water necromancer, like this, and you're fighting a human foe, like this will just get higher and higher and higher. So definitely not bad, given that it's also a... Oh, it crit too, so look at that. Honestly, I don't think there's really a lot of complexity to Eins's kit. It's just that he's really strong and really mobile. Okay, so we want to make sure that we have enough MP to do all of these things, which I think we should handle no problem. Okay. So where is it? Oh, it's Magia Curious. Yeah, own M attack power by 3.5 for 1 turn. Now it's time for, yeah, this guy is on the way to destruction. So that'll do 58k. Selfless Gamma will also do about 58. Forgot, he doesn't have conditional damage, does he? Those guys are weaker, so we probably don't want to try them. That one won't tell us. So next up we have got Pluto Hazard. Yeah. 55. Okay, it's a little bit weaker. Still, that is not bad, given that he was never really a nuker, so much as he was just good at dealing out consistent damage. So now, like, if you factor in Dark Res or Magic Res down, throw like Letitia and like Nyx or Emrys into the mix, like, that's gonna be some big damage. Alright, let's just send this guy flying. Oh, he's not immune to knockback. Alright. So now it looks like the only thing that we would really need to do is showcase Soul's Mounted form. So let's get him back a little MP. Oh, just realized I could use formulated filament. Whoops. Does he have anything else that's interesting? No, let's just use a CT down move. It's always fun when you have a really mobile unit who can also teleport. So he can easily clear an entire map with if he moves and then like teleports, or teleports and then moves. Whew. Just look at him go. That is absolutely insane. Alright, this will solve our jewel problem going forward. There we go. Alright, so this move comes with his VCR. So the Pluto Hazard move is memento number 1. The M attack power charge up is memento number 2. And then the mounted for 3 turns, that's VCR number 2. So it's important to remember where these all come from, because it's easy to mix them up because he just has so many things now. Alright, so we use this, and then for 3 turns, which, by the way, if you have his original memento at max limit break, skill use +1, so you get to do the transformation twice. I didn't do it, but if back in the Attack on Titan days, if you had Aaron's Gate 2, it was a similar thing where he'd get skill use count +1, and then he could use a transformation twice, and that's always fun. I am at a loss for what to do with Eins. I'll just smack this guy and then run away. We're at the tail end here. We're just going to take a look at his moves. So now we see that Sol's gotten a stat boost. His move's gone up to 8 and his jump has gone down to 1. So he's basically mimicking Eins. If you played the story mode, you know what that means. He got a boost to his stats as well, and an entirely new move set. So you can't use the master abilities when he's in this form, so you wouldn't be able to like charge up and then do his big AoE. But let's take a look at his moves. So this one, Universal Heliosphere, is awesome because it can inflict stun and it hits 3 times. I was playing PvP, not because I like PvP, but because I wanted the Eins shards. And this move helped me out immensely many times. It may not do a ton of damage, but it does enough. And the fact that it hits multiple times is handy. And then next he has a cross-type teleport move. It doesn't really do anything special. Just a dark magic attack in a cross shape. Now this move it sort of takes the place of his charge up. You use it and it doubles his P attack and M attack for a few turns. So let's compare. What will that show? None of his moves will show the damage, except for this one. This will be our showcase. So 12k, which already by itself is pretty sweet. But let's try this one. And Eins is going to go over here. Alright, so now how much will this one do? 22k, so not bad. Now this last move, Orpheus Betrayal, is awesome because it will remove buffs and lower stats. So if you got an enemy that just did a big charge up, or in PvP somebody just charged up, you can take that away. And it's, pretty decent range. You can hit a whole group with them. So yeah, just keep in mind that the moves here are kind of expensive, and then you only get 3 turns to do it. Oh, I should mention, I can't really showcase it here, but his reactive changes too. So he'll drain back health from melee range attacks now, which is kind of nice. And then he can still inflict death sentence. And then also, he attacks twice as well. So definitely, if you're lucky enough to have that VCR, use it, because you can get a lot of mileage out of that little mini kit from the mounted. So yeah, that is it for the Horse Bros. And I love both of them, and I will be using them a lot going forward. So yeah, look forward to the next weekly update. A unit named Lisa Knott, who has been anticipated by many, is going to be here. So I'll be covering that in the weekly update, as well as pulling for Nero. So yeah, I will see you guys next time.